So this is episode 2 of me trying to make a Roblox game using AI. And this week, the goal is pretty simple. I just want to take the game from being a basic zombie prototype into something that actually starts to feel like a game. Because in the first episode, I was pretty much trying to get the basics of things working. Can I get zombies spawning? Can I get them to move? Can I make a first-person shooter setup? And could I actually use the AI assistant inside Roblox to help me build this? But now I'm starting to get into the parts to make the game feel like a proper loop. The wave system, the loot drops, the shop, the upgrades. The idea is that you survive, you earn scrap, you spend it, you get stronger, and then you try to survive the next wave. And that's really the core of what I worked on this time. The game itself is basically a first-person zombie survival game where you're defending a bunker. Zombies come in waves, and over time those waves should get harder. The basic idea is that you're not just randomly shooting zombies forever, you're defending your base, trying to survive as long as possible, and then using what you can to upgrade your setup. And maybe further down the line, there are certain missions and random events that can pop up. So when you kill zombies, they drop scrap. And that scrap can be used to buy things like weapon upgrades, it could be traps, it could be base upgrades, it could eventually be new defenses or different systems around the bunker. And I think this is the part where the game started to click a bit more for me. Because before this, it was like, okay, well, there are zombies, but now it's more like there are actually reasons to genuinely kill the zombies. You kill them to survive, but you also kill them to progress. And I'm also looking to add a account level system. So as you keep playing, your account will level up. And that will also give you the ability to unlock more things, perhaps perks over time. So instead of just having zombies appearing randomly, the game can now start to structure them into waves. Wave 1 might be easier, then wave 2 might get a bit harder, and so on and so forth. But once you actually start sort of working like more into the game, you sort of realize that there are a lot of small things you need to work together. You need to get the game to know when the wave starts. You need to know how many zombies are alive. You need to know when the wave has ended, etc. And because I'm using the AI assistant for a lot of it, it has been all right. It has been a few sort of issues and bugs, but a lot of it is being able to explain, I want zombies to spawn in waves. I want each wave to get harder, to have a % chance of spawning this special type of zombie, etc. The next thing I added really was loot drops. So now when zombies die, they drop scrap. And this honestly took me maybe 2 or 3 prompts to actually implement, so I was really quite impressed with this. And I like this because it gives the reason to keep fighting. It's not necessarily just for survival, but it also allows you to improve your chances in the next wave. And I think that's sort of the gameplay loop I want to make, where you have fight, survive, collect scrap, upgrade, prepare, and then do it again. I think that's the sort of the sort of rhythm I want the game to have. I don't really want it to feel that complicated, but I do want it to feel easy enough to understand and still feel satisfying. So that's sort of where I'm at. Now, this is still early, right? But the idea is that in between waves, you'll be able to spend scrap on upgrades and new items, and you can basically go from there. Now, another thing I also was able to implement was the shop panel. Now, this ideally is probably going to be next to the bunker, and this will be something where effectively you can obviously, choose, are you going to save your scrap? Are you going to spend it now? I'm still trying to get a feel for how you'll be able to or what you'll be able to do. I think eventually I do want to make this a bit of like a base building thing, but I'm not really too focused on that at the moment. It's more something which I'll look to do in the future. One of the things as well will be adding special zombies, things like runners, maybe bloated zombies, armored zombies, something that adds a bit more variety, perhaps even things like screamers, which can perhaps spawn in more zombies, maybe make zombies around it move faster, stuff like that, which gets you having to play around with your approach and so on and so forth, and at least sort of makes the wave system feel a lot better. Now, one of the issues I have been having at the moment has been the daily credits limit with the AI assistant. So one of the things is that although all of the stuff with Roblox is free, that's also the reason probably why there are the daily credit system with the Roblox AI assistant. Now, if there were the way where you could spend money to get more like credits for the Roblox thing, that would be ideal. I don't think they've got that at the time of recording. But yeah, it's been a bit of an issue because I'll be working on something and then it will hit the daily credit limit and that's about it. Now, there is a way where you can use the API key from other things such as Gemini or whatever, which sounds good, but the issue is because it's different AI, it's not the same as the Roblox stuff. It's probably only going to be able to do the script part of the code as opposed to making things in the game. Because one of the really cool things that the Roblox AI assistant can do is it can like play test for you. So like for example, when I was making like a gun visual effect, where I wanted it to find a gun visual effect, it found one from the Creator store or whatever. It literally auto started and tested my game, and I literally saw it shooting the visual effect up in the air multiple times until it was happy with it. Then it stopped the play, then it stopped the play, and it then went and implemented it. It was really, really weird, but it was super cool. So it's really interesting to see how the AI assistant moves with that. And if I'm honest, I think just the way the AI system works is really well. It helps me move faster, it helps me test new ideas, and it just gets systems in place without me having to manually figure everything out myself. Now, eventually, I will have to get to a point where I do need to learn more about the Roblox the Roblox sort of Studio HUD. One of the things I'm likely going to have to do manually will be actually making the maps. I have been able to get it to spawn in lots of different objects. Getting it to make like maps and stuff is probably, I mean, can somewhat work. I have had it like try and generate me like a zombie related city, but I think it's still quite difficult to get it to make yourself a whole map. So likelihood is that'll be stuff that I do on my own. But overall, it's the idea really is that I'm not necessarily trying to chase every random feature at once. It's more so I'm just trying to focus on the things that really matter. Things because in reality I could add more weapons, more zombie types, more traps, more upgrades, etc. But I think probably what I'm focusing on at the moment is just getting things working, right? Getting things the way I want it to be. And one of the things I've been thinking about quite a lot is how I want this to feel different from other zombie survival games. I feel like a lot of the games out there is more like session based, right? You join the game, you play for a bit, you survive a few rounds, and then when you leave, all that progress is gone, right? Which can be fun, but it also feels kind of annoying. And I think if you had a Roblox survival or zombie survival game where you could save and load things, where let's say you got to round 25, you could save and then the next day you can come back, that would be ideal, right? And I think that would actually really help in terms of retention and get people keep coming back. So that's obviously one of the big things. Now, I have been trying a new schedule where I'm obviously trying to balance my Steam game, Primus, and my Roblox game, because I don't really want to be context switching and multitasking between the games. I sort of did for a little while, but at the moment, I'm currently testing out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday being Primus, and Thursday, Friday being Roblox. It's a little bit of a tricky thing, and I know I shouldn't necessarily be playing around with two different games at once. Ideally, I should just focus on one. But with AI, in terms of the efficiency of things, I genuinely don't think that this is going to be a huge issue. Sure, it will definitely mean that both the projects will take longer than they could do if I was giving them the full 5 days of the week, but I'm not really at that much of an issue, or I don't really see that as a crazy issue as well. Now, one of the things is that I think really at the end of the day, with AI assistant, it's not perfect. There are limits, there are issues. Sometimes things simply just don't work on the first try. And sometimes, obviously, I hit the daily cap. And sometimes I just need to go back and explain things more clearly. But at the time of recording, the game now has a start of a proper loop. Zombies come in waves. The HUD for the wave number, the zombie sort of remaining amount is there. The scrap amount that the player has is at the top right. I was working on a game over screen which started working, but I ran out of credits. So that's obviously what I'm going to be continuing to work on. But yeah, a lot of it really is just having clarity on on what I really want. And again, right, people aren't really going to like what I do, but that's okay, because I think what really comes down to it is if people enjoy the game. And I really don't think people are going to care if a game was made with AI if they really enjoy it. Matter of fact, I think they'd probably be curious if they found a game that was really enjoyable. But hey, we're going to have to see how we do. But yeah, I still want the game to have a clear identity, right? A solo bunker survival game, a wave-based zombie shooter. But I do also want to get closer to the save and load system, because I think that's really going to be a big part of what actually makes the game feel more meaningful. But for now, I'm pretty happy with the progress. It's still early, it's still a bit messy, but the core loop is starting to form. And that's pretty much where we're at. The Roblox stuff is really interesting to me in terms of what the AI assistant can do and how much it can possibly implement, right? I could be using the AI assistant for like 70 to 80% of the game I'm making, which, when you hear it, it doesn't necessarily sound ideal, right? But a lot of it for me is like if I can take my ideas and I can give it to AI, and AI can actually effectively put in the work and like at least implement a lot of the stuff that I want. If that's gonna allow me to create more enjoyable experiences, then that sort of works for me. So that's pretty much where we're at. But I'll keep you updated and in the loop, and for the next one.